Mr. Don, I'm going to let you start off this.
Yeah, we had an amazing guest, my good friend Wayne Lucina, this evening. If you have been just about to any of the events locally, whether it be Trenton Punk Rock Flea Market, Smithville Art Walk.
How about your own event, brother?
Oh, the Hamilton Arts and Music Festival. Mm-hmm. Yeah, you've definitely seen Wayne's work. His work's incredible. It's unique. It's this blend of pop culture, humor. It's like biting your thumb at commercialism. You know, it was and we got into some of that during this interview. Like, I've known Wayne probably since I've started doing like art shows and stuff. And it's so nice to actually have a time to sit down and chat with him.
Yeah, well, I was mentioning it in the episode. I mentioned how I go to these events and I go from one booth to the other, and this isn't a knock on any of these amazing artists, but every time I go to these events, I always stop by Wayne's booth and really look at and appreciate his art. It's really one of a kind and fantastic. And it's great seeing the artist, but even cooler is now bringing him onto a show like this and finding out what makes him tick, what's going on inside, where does this art come from. And Wayne did not disappoint, ladies and gentlemen.
For sure. And I don't want to waste any more time.
Do the thing, man. Do the thing.
Ladies and gentlemen, Wayne Lucina.
I hit the button, Don.
Boop.
And that means we're getting started, brother.
For sure.
How goes it?
It's good.
You know, I made a mistake that I will never make again before a podcast. I haven't done this for about a year, but today, as of like 25 minutes ago, I decided to take an ice bath.
Oh.
And I am still, I mean, it's kind of hot in this room, but my legs are still cold.
Yeah, how long were you in the ice bath?
15 minutes. Apparently that's like what you need for the right amount of whatever good things that happen.
What good things happen to you when you're in like frozen water?
Well, I'm going to screw this up for sure, but apparently
This is science, everybody, so make sure you pay attention.
You're coming to me for science, of course. Yeah. And let's introduce our guest.
Yeah, all right.
Who is here for us today, Don?
Wayne Lucina.
Wayne, what's up, Wayne?
How you guys doing?
Good.
I didn't. This is actually a clubhouse. I didn't know that.
It's actually a clubhouse. Yep. And you are welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for having me here.
Yeah. So, like, we've vended together for a bunch of stuff. You've been a vendor since the very first Hamilton Arts and Music Festival here. This whole podcast is basically just an open conversation about stuff. So I want to make sure that like Sam really gets to know you a little bit more, and that our listeners get to know you a little bit more. And just let's take a trip down memory lane and learn a little bit about your art and what you do.
Yeah, and Wayne, I do want to say before we get all these questions about you answered, you were saying me get to know Wayne a little better, which I'm excited for. But at the same time, out of all the vendors I see at these events, you probably know Wayne the best for specifically his artwork, because every time I'm there, I'm like, man, this stuff is awesome looking. It's clever. It's funny. I haven't really seen anyone who makes art quite like you, Wayne, and I am a legit fan who's bought your art, and it's hanging in my house. So
well, thank you for the compliments. I certainly appreciate that.
So I really love, like, it's this, I don't know, sort of like neo-surrealism that's mixing pop culture, serial killers, conspiracy theory, like all of these like references to different movies. I guess that's would be included in the pop culture. But like, where did all this come from? Like, how did you get started doing or moving in this direction?
My mom was a huge horror movie fan, so I always watched movies with her, science fiction movies, horror movies, and everything. So as a kid, of course, I was really, keyed into a lot of horror movies that, like, maybe your normal kid wouldn't be
What
watching.
would because I'm asking because I watch scary movies with my own kids. What scary movies were you exposed to as a kid?
Oh, the Universal horror movies,
Okay.
and the science fiction stuff, specifically like The Blob, This Island Earth.
Yeah.
What do you call it? The one with Leslie Nielsen.
Forbidden Planet.
Yes, yeah, that kind of
I
stuff.
love
Yep.
Forbidden Planet. I just got that again on Blu-ray. That's
And
so
she's
good.
also pretty much my mom's responsible for my kind of the way I look at commercialism, because she was like an Alfred Hitchcock, hated commercials. If you ever watch the Alfred Hitchcock show, he's always talking about the sponsors and how he despises the sponsors, taking his time, away from his program, and he will, talk about them very acidically.
Wow.
So my mom was like that too, very critical of commercials, always saying they're insulting our intelligence. Look at them, they're stupid. So commercialism or my, I guess, lack of liking commercialism has something to do also with the artwork. Yeah. So that's where I got that kind of stuff. And then as a kid, I was really into reading and going to the library. I went to the library a lot. Spent a lot of time in the library, just reading about history and all types of stuff.
What were you really interested in when it comes to history?
Well, like World War II stuff, Kennedy assassination, anything having to do with the 60s, like Vietnam stuff, all types of things. Mostly 60s and 50s history. Presidents.
All American stuff?
Yeah, pretty much all American
Just real
stuff.
quick, what do you think happened to Kennedy? You have your own belief.
Yes, I do.
What do you think happened?
It was Lee Harvey Oswald.
Just him, not working with anyone else?
No, I don't believe so, no.
Okay.
I don't think so. I think it would have came out by now, almost 61 years by now.
Yeah.
It's kind of like the moon landing conspiracy. There were so many people that have to be involved, and no one says a word. No one says a word.
That is weird that they say it's a hoax, but there were so many people involved. You'd think at least one of them would be like, "Hey guys, all right, let's tell them the truth."
Well, the question about the moon landing hoax comes up a lot because of my one painting. It's of Alan Shepard on the moon with the flag, and I replaced the star field with the hoax thing on it. So it gets a lot of conversation, and people come up to me and they say a lot about, what do you think about the moon landing? And of course, I was 6 years old when they landed on the moon, and I watched it. And as a 6-year-old kid, I'm thinking, yeah, it looks real, And my only question was, as I became an adult, I was like, well, if it was hard to do and they faked it, right, and they didn't really get there, why do we fake it another 5 times? Why not just say it's over? We did it once and that's it. Why go another 5 times and do the same thing you couldn't do in the first place? You know what I'm saying?
We've been back 5 other times?
Yes.
Oh. Okay.
Yeah. So
Okay.
I would have quit while I was ahead and said we made it once.
Yeah, we're good to go.
We fulfilled Kennedy's deal. And
Yeah.
let's
No,
call it.
we built the set. We're going to use the set.
Well, and Stanley Kubrick, right? Stanley
Right.
Kubrick insisted that they have a sequel, maybe.
Well, there's like a new movie about that just came out with Channing Tatum, I believe it is. Oh, what's the name of the movie?
It's like Fly Me to the Moon,
Fly
maybe.
Oh,
Me to the Moon. Yeah.
Is it about it being a hoax or is
Yeah,
it
it's like
I didn't see the movie, but it's some kind of an alternate story.
Yeah,
about
that seems to be like where it's headed.
That's
It
a
just
fun idea.
it just seems fun, and I mean like that stuff is fun to think about, like these alternate paths, these alternate histories. But when it becomes a little bit too serious, I think that's when I get out of the conversation.
That's when you check out?
Yeah,
Some people take it to heart.
they do.
Well, I mean, they took that whole conspiracy theory, if you want, about the moon. They ran with it with Capricorn 1, only, of course, it was going to Mars, that they couldn't get to Mars. So they basically just took the Apollo deal and, translated it to they couldn't get to Mars. And that they went up with the rocket and they landed somewhere in the desert and they were threatened that, if you say anything, Well, actually, they try to kill them in Capricorn 1, I think.
Well, there's a bunch of like I've had this come up in like my Facebook posts, like people posting about like all of the hoaxes that NASA's perpetrated through the years, and like my favorite thing is to go in and cross-reference them from the original source material of everything. Like, this is a training mission, and this is this happened in this year, and this is why this picture exists, and it has nothing to do with what you're claiming the picture to be. So
You do a lot of your own research, huh?
Well, unfortunately, it's a lot of family members who post these things. So it's
Okay.
like, so it's
in
like
your face.
I don't necessarily want to like shame them, but I'd like to educate them.
Does it work?
Well, they get quieter and quieter every year, so I guess it's
Okay.
I'm either wearing them down or it's, something.
That's Don again.
That's good, though.
Wayne, when you make your art, a lot of times for example, one of the pieces I bought might be my favorite one. I really like it. It has Frankenstein, and the quote on it is, "It takes a village."
Mm-hmm.
I love that. I'm wondering, like, how much of your art has a little humor to it, has an actual message, versus how many of it is just art that looks cool. I'm wondering if maybe there's art pieces that I just don't get. I don't get the joke or the message behind it. Does all of your art have some kind of message or joke or something behind it, or some of it just to look a certain way?
Not everything. No, not everything has a message. The one that you're talking about is called Reborn Into This. And that started from it was a small monster movie book that kids read. It was a tiny little book. And I got it like 4 years before I made that painting. I had just started painting, actually, and I knew I wanted to do something with it, but I couldn't think of anything. And then one day I just picked up the book again, and I started doing let's say I borrowed the image, so it's not totally my image. I modified it a little bit, and I started just with the Karloff character, the monster. And it wasn't going to have any message on it. So the whole thing was finished pretty much with the castle in the background and everything. I had no words. And then all of a sudden, one day I was just looking at it and I said, that's such a popular, it's supposed to be a positive phrase. But I mean, if you spin it in the way of the story of Frankenstein's monster, it's sinister. So that's how that came out. But it wasn't, I didn't think that. It just came to me.
That's so cool,
after the painting
man.
was finished, there was an empty field there. I'm like, okay, well, he's here. The canvas splits in half. You have the beginning, you have the castle, you have the monster, you have the windmill, the end, and the torches.
Sure.
And it basically took a village to eliminate him. So I just like, that'll work.
Oh, it's so smart, man. And I love that.
It just happened. It wasn't like I overthought it or anything like that.
The way I would have assumed is that was his quote in his mind, and let's make a piece of art and then put it on there.
That came last.
Wow,
Yep.
That's cool.
Yep.
So you saying that this was soon after you started painting? Like, what got you into painting? I know you also have a music background as well.
Yeah. I was in an all original, hard rock band in the '90s. We made an EP and stuff like that. We did pretty good. Got some good, feedback about it. And I started doing art basically way even before that. But I mean, I did do a lot of stuff in reference to the band, like the cover for the EP and all that stuff. So I was designing the flyers for the band, doing stuff like that. And before that, I was doing T-shirt designs, since I was like a teenager,
Would you print your own T-shirts?
Well, I didn't technically print them. What I did was I could not afford, this is when I was like 15, 16, maybe 17 years old. I couldn't afford silk screen. I really didn't know anything about silk screening. So what I would do is I would get a shirt. I would get, contact paper. And, because it's an adhesive, so you could peel it. And I would draw whatever the design was. It was lettering, and my curse is lettering. I do a lot of lettering. And you just cut it out with either an X-Acto or a like a cuticle scissor or something like that, and you just place it on the shirt. And then I would spray it with back then Krylon was like really super heavy duty stuff, and you could use Krylon sprays, and it would stick like silk screen on a shirt. You could wash it and everything. So that's So I made a shirt. My last year in high school was a Led Zeppelin shirt. It was really cool. It was like kind of like Led Zeppelin 2 design, and it went to like a juried show at Monmouth Mall, but I never got to the jury because somebody stole it.
Oh no!
Yeah, they stole it off the board.
How cool it was!
I went to see it. I saw it. I was all proud and everything. So I look, the shirt's here, and then I went back the next day to to see it again, and it was gone.
Someone else thought it was cool.
And nobody had any explanation as to why, and no one knows where that shirt is at this point. So
if you still have this shirt,
yeah, dude, if you're listening to the show and you've got that shirt,
it was a really cool shirt too, but.
Give
You
it
don't
up.
even have to get. No, you don't have to. Just come and admit it, and
Yeah.
we'll have
And
you on
that's
the show.
40 some years ago. The statute of limitations is over.
But we're not.
40 something years ago.
See, we're not mad at you. We're just disappointed.
Little
Yeah, I would love to
disappointed.
see it again, but I don't think that's going to happen. You know.
We'll get him.
We probably will.
You'll
I was just
Yeah, we
disappointed by the whole thing because I brought like my friends to see it.
Yeah.
And it was like, wah. It's gone. The tacks were still there. It was up like, it was, with some thumbtacks.
just the outline of where a T-shirt used.
Well, they were kind enough to put the put the
Yeah.
thumbtacks back just to,
Yeah.
give
Well, they
me
didn't
the,
need the
give me the
thumbtacks.
extra
Yeah.
insult. You know.
Whoever you are, you suck, man.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
How dare you, dude? You've been doing art for a long time.
Well, not painting, but yeah, doing T-shirt designs and stuff like that. Yeah.
What in this? How hard was your rock band?
Oh, it was like
Heavy.
kind
Your
of
wife
like
is
kind
back
of like
there.
slightly maybe less than Megadeth.
Slightly less than Megadeth.
Yeah.
That's still pretty heavy.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah. What did you play?
I was the drummer. I was the drummer and the writer. Of the music.
You wrote the songs.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, me and one other guy. Yeah, and we started out. The band was called Starkweather after the Nebraskan murderer Charles Starkweather from the late 50s. And then we found out there was another band called Starkweather out of Pennsylvania. And once we released the EP under that name, it went to, I don't know if you remember the East Coast Rocker or the Aquarian magazine. They did a review on the EP, and it was such a good review that the band Starkweather from Philadelphia came after us with a lawyer.
Oh, that's not very rock and roll.
So just as we were getting momentum, we had to do something about the name because we were threatened with a cease and desist order and all types of stuff. And this is just for a small band based out of Red Bank.
Yeah.
But because we got this really cool review about this 4-song EP, these guys were, right there. So they forced us to change the name. Or they didn't force us, but we got a trademark attorney out of New York, and he was like, he searched it, said there was like 5 or 6 bands with the same name. So so.
Yeah, but you guys were starting to make waves, so
Oh,
they felt threatened.
we absolutely were. Yeah, we played a whole bunch of places and did a lot of stuff, but it just wasn't in the cards. It was fun to do. It was also right about the time of like the grunge move too. So when you were going out and you were playing live places, in New York or here in New Jersey or whatever, it was just totally abuse. Because you were a lower tier band. And you had to wait till a little later before the headliner was going to come on. And as Rodney said, there wasn't a lot of respect.
Man, they really killed the metal scene for a while. The grunge, Kurt and all them.
Yeah, it seemed to happen like right around like 91, somewhere around there. Because when I was heading into high school, everybody was listening to like Iron Maiden and probably Motley Crue. Like Guns N' Roses' first album just came out, and then all of a sudden there was that switch that flipped like 91 where it was like all Nirvana and Pearl Jam, and Soundgarden I guess was somewhere bridging that gap.
Oh yeah.
But yeah,
Such a bummer too, because I feel like there's space for both types of music in there. There's a scene in that movie The Wrestler where the wrestlers listen to some old 80s Motley Crue type stuff, and then they mention that like how Kurt came and ruined it all, and he's like, yeah, whatever happened to people just having fun? It's like, yeah, there is.
It's true though. It's true, and also the guys that were out at that time, they weren't really doing super heavy stuff, but with like Savatage and all those guys, they were then accused of being hair metal, which is a very derogatory term if you ask me, and it still sticks today.
Sure.
They practically destroyed Kip Winger. They practically destroyed his life.
What band is that?
Winger.
Oh, from the band Winger.
Yeah, because he had the man, it was MTV was all over him for stuff.
All I know about Winger is I remember Beavis and Butthead.
Yeah, well, Beavis and Butthead was spearheaded a lot of what destroyed their career.
Way.
Yeah,
I see. As a kid, I was just like, "Who's Winger? They must suck."
And about the same time,
Skid Row, too.
Metallica put out the Black Album documentary where Lars throws the darts at Kip Winger's face on a dartboard while they're recording the.
Why were people so mean to this guy?
He was just the whipping boy for the time, I guess, as far as that stuff went.
Kind of like Nickelback. You just never know who's going to become
Yeah.
the new joke or whatever.
Yep.
And it's usually people who are like, like Nickelback. Like I don't want to go on to a Nickelback tangent, but like their music's catchy. Like, it's
it is,
it's
dude.
like it's got a good hook. People
Photograph.
yeah,
Come on, man.
people dig it. Like I'm not I still make fun of it sometimes too myself, but it's like why are we doing it? And it's just like I don't know, it's just a punching bag. It's like it's I don't know.
Did
It's
Winger
a weird
ever?
place.
Did he ever recover?
Yes.
Oh, he
yeah.
did.
Oh, they're all having their final laugh now because Creed came back.
Yeah, I saw.
And Creed is one of the most, dividing bands.
Sure.
It was weird. They were so huge, and then all of a sudden, people just started crapping on them.
Yep. And now they're back, and now they're demanding their price. They got Scott Stapp back, and Alter Bridge, I guess, stopped for a little while, and then Creed went back out on tour, and supposedly, Winger's back doing things. I don't think Winger's as big as the Creed tour is, and then there's some other dudes. Nickelback too, I think, is now thinking about. I don't even know if they ever quit, but I mean,
No, I think they've been touring this.
I don't think
this
they ever
whole time.
stopped.
Yeah.
They just pushed through it.
Cut their hair.
I
That
just
was
saw
very much
Motley
it.
Crue in concert and a few others. What's the band? Put another dime in the jukebox, baby.
Joan Jett.
Joan Jett was there.
Joan Jett still gives a good concert.
She does. So does Motley Crue. I mean, Vince's vocals are a little rough.
Questionable, yeah.
I mean, they
yeah.
were never that great anyway, but like it was fun. It's fun.
But again, you're right. You got to realize that you're talking about 60-some-year-old guys
Yeah.
who were not, practicing the best
Good
health
vocal-
regimes,
yeah, sure.
when they were younger. So
I'm a 41-year-old returning pro wrestler, and I get it. It's different the second time around. You've learned a lot though, so you got some tricks up your sleeve. You can't count out the old timers, but the I can't do the flips off the top rope anymore. It's got to be hard to pull out the best vocals like you did when you were 30.
Well,
And-
your vocal range changes as you get older too. Like there's like your vocal cords aren't quite as taut as they used to be. You start to get those like
the rest of you.
yeah, they're for sure. Those whistles and rattles of old age start creeping into your voice.
The decrepitous tour.
Yeah. I mean, one like you see, it's amazing when you get the longevity of acts like the Rolling Stones, but like Mick Jagger has such a strict sort of regimen
I
for.
think the dude works out a couple times a day.
Yeah, and vocal exercises and all that kind of stuff.
He's still throwing kicks up there and everything.
Yeah.
That's wild.
Well, he's defying most things. To the guys his age. I mean, that's absolutely astounding what he can still do. If you watch any of the shows with him in it now, it's ridiculous that he can still move like that.
Yeah.
He's like 81, 80.
Something like that.
He's like same age as Paul McCartney, maybe a little about the same age, I think.
yeah.
Wild. So Wayne,
Yes.
when did you decide to start really getting your art out there, selling it, coming to these events where you set up your booth and everything? How did that all begin?
I started doing smaller shows, and that's actually where I saw Don's work, but I didn't even know Don at the time. I did some stuff for Artworks Trenton. They had like a 10x10 show and things like that. So I started with smaller shows. I didn't have the pop-up shows. I went to some of the Pancake and Booze shows in Philly. I did one in New York. So it was like small pop-up galleries, and in Artworks Trenton.
Did you already have like a whole library of art?
No.
How did it? Did you just one day decide? Did you talk with your wife? Like, how did this happen?
I started painting in 2014, so it's 10 years.
Okay.
Before that, I didn't really do anything on canvases or anything like that. I started on cardboard first. I cut out cardboard and I put that stain kill stuff on it because I didn't want to spend any money on canvases if it was really horrible.
Wasn't our last guest? Didn't she say the same thing? She started on cardboard or something?
Yeah.
That's cool. I guess.
I mean, just to try to check out whether you can do anything or not, and yeah, so that's when I really started. I read like a book on Jackson Pollock, and I said, I can I can do some of this. So I did a couple of drip paintings and action things, and then I was like, that's okay. And I took a class at Michael's. I was the only person there besides the instructor for acrylics.
A little one-on-one.
Yeah, and after that, I was like, I'm just going to take off on my own and see what I could do. So I went to a lot of museums, read a lot of books, and so I really didn't start painting anything seriously till like 2014. And I didn't really start doing pop-up shows till around 2017. But I saw at the Artworks Trenton, I believe it was a 10 by 10 show, there was this really cool painting of this robot. And I love robots. And I saw the guy's name, but I didn't know Don at the time. And then when I started doing Smithville shows, there was the robot. And I remembered that because it's an iconic, very professional. It reminds me of the 1950s, anthology story, the small sci-fi.
Right, yeah, like those
books.
little,
like Galaxy Magazine and all those,
and stuff, yeah.
with the awesome artist that did all the illustrations. So I didn't even know Don, but I knew his work.
Yeah, that was Art of the Subculture. That was in
yes.
cahoots with the Trenton Punk Rock Flea Market.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yep. I did a bunch of Artworks Trenton shows, so I can't,
That was the second show that I ever did, was that show.
Yeah, well, the images are great. The robots are great.
Thanks.
And I walked around the whole place, but Don's was pretty much the only thing that I remembered.
Wow.
I didn't even remember my own, but at that point, so,
Yeah.
But I didn't start doing the pop-up shows or anything a couple of years later.
Okay.
So.
Yeah, very cool.
And I had heard about Smithville Art Walk and Mike because I did one of the first things I did, like a little gallery show was in the because I live in New Egypt, so I went to the New Egypt flea market. There was a place there called Quirky's Curiosities, and they sold all types of magic tricks and all types of stuff. And they let me do a little show in there. And he kept saying to me, "You got to talk to this guy, Mike. You got to get your stuff in there. You got to talk to Mike. Tell him I sent you or whatever. Do you know me or whatever it is?" And that's how I got involved with Smithville Art Walk from Quirky's and their place in New Egypt.
And do you sell your artwork online? Do you how else do you get your artwork out to people?
Yeah, I have an entire website. It's Wayne Lucina art.net. Yeah, so that's where you can get most of the stuff. All the prints are on there, and all the originals and the T-shirts, and we have other items too on there. So
you take your art, you put it on T-shirts.
Yes.
Yeah, they're really T-shirt friendly pieces. Out of the pieces you've made over these last, I don't know, it's been like 10 years.
Yeah, it's
now.
been 10 years.
Are there ones that you hold in your highest regard that are extra special to you?
I try not to get too attached to them because I want to I shouldn't say get rid of them. I shouldn't say get rid of them, but, Don could probably, talk about this too, that you can get so involved with something, where you want it to come out a certain way. Mm-hmm. And maybe it doesn't come out exactly the way you want, but you worked on it so long, it becomes almost like it's a labor of love, but then you kind of don't want to see it anymore. Or maybe you don't want to look at it. That's the way I feel about it. So I had one painting, really, and it was a painting the movie The Thing, with Kurt Russell. Yeah. But it was just the dog, and the dog is standing on the cliff where they find the icy cliff where they find the spaceship. And then the helicopter, the Norwegian helicopter is coming behind the dog, and the dog is just looking at you like this, with the helicopter behind. And I really, really liked that painting. And it was around for about a week and a half, and somebody bought it at a show. So I never even got a chance to really enjoy it because a lot of stuff comes back. It goes to shows, it doesn't sell. You have to suffer putting it back in the house. It's like the loser walk. You hide the pictures from your neighbors.
Right.
There he is again, loser.
The unwanted.
So, but that one I got attached to, and somebody bought it right away, and I didn't really get a chance to, But that was one of my favorite ones I ever did. Yeah.
Do you ever do that though? Do you ever look at an art piece and it's like, damn, I just like this so much, put it on the wall? Do you do that, or does all of it go out?
All of my stuff, you mean?
Yeah. Your wife is saying, "Get it out."
Sue's not my wife. Sue's just my friend.
Oh, okay, friend.
She's my business partner.
Yeah.
And,
you always are at the booths and everything.
Yeah.
Right?
She runs the. She's the one responsible for actually having the pop-up shows and everything. She talked me into going bigger.
Wow, that's a good friend.
If
right
it wasn't
there.
it wasn't for that, I'd still be doing nothing.
How do you guys know each other?
We've known each other for years, for a long time.
Actually, since December 2017.
Yeah, and she talked me into going, you should really get a pop-up show going and anything, because we were doing just the little stuff, like I said, just the one-day pop-up stuff. So then we got the whole gallery deal thing, together. So we've been doing that since about 2017, I guess.
Yeah, have you worked with like Mary Beth, like Night Market and those kind of shows too?
I
like
did
Electric
one.
Halloween,
Yeah,
or?
I did one Electric Halloween show. Yeah, but I haven't done any more since that. It was cool. It was that was in Atlantic City, I think.
Oh yeah, over at Anchor Rock or something.
I think it was. Yeah, and we it was a what was it called, an Electric Halloween. So I had a lot of stuff there that was fluorescent. And I had these, subject to black light, which was really cool. And then I painted in on stage with one of the bands that was there.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, so I painted a really big, like, magic hat rabbit thing.
Nice.
Yeah, so, But other than that, no, I don't have anything that I'm really super attached to.
Yeah.
Because I don't know, it's just, I'd rather go out to people than me hold on to it. And I'd rather sell it as much as I could instead of being some sad old man that's got like 500 paintings laying around and be like, okay, well, let's get a dumpster together, let's go.
that's me. That's right. I'm the sad old man over here. Yeah, it's actually I've only just started selling my robot paintings. Like I've like resisted selling them for so long.
Oh, okay. So you didn't want to sell them?
I didn't. So after that art of the subculture, or what counterculture?
Yeah,
thing.
counterculture. Yeah.
And I had been talking to Artworks Trenton about, like, hey, if you get like 20 of these together. At the time, I had 2. If you get like 20 of these together, like maybe we can give you like a small show here or something. And like I'm not that prolific as far as painting. Like I have to feel what I'm painting, or else it's just like, why bother doing it? I've so far I've gone to 13, and
oh wow,
I met another artist. Actually, it was at Kramer Hall in Hamilton, and he had a solo show there, and he's this brilliant trompe l'oeil painter called Gary Irby. And he said, why are you holding on to these? Like, it's just going to collect dust in your house. Like, let other people enjoy them, just get everybody's name,
And did you resist that at first, or did you think about it right away?
He said that, and all of a sudden I'm like, yeah, why am I, like, I mean, I like these things, and like, but I'm also at a point where I don't know how much left there is to tell with this robot story. So I'm like, well, maybe I'm moving on to something else. And maybe it's time for these to go live somewhere else. I've taken great pictures of them. I've got those. I can, still market prints and stuff like that.
Sure.
But maybe now it's time to move to something else.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you're ready to give them up then?
I am. I already sold my first one.
Oh, cool. Good.
Yeah.
Good for you.
So, yeah.
Was it an earlier painting or a later one?
It was actually my favorite painting. It was like right in the middle. It was the 5th one. It was actually based on reference from right outside of Rocco's townhouse in Hamilton.
Right off of, right by the brewery. Right
it's just like
it's
the next
green
street over.
It's the green building.
Yeah. So the funny thing is, like, I have this conversation with Gary, and the next week, I'm at work at the bike shop, and one of my customers goes like, his wife's an artist too, and we were in a group show together at Camden County College. He's like, it's a shame you're not selling those paintings of yours. I'm like, funny story.
Yes.
I am, and he wound up buying one of the paintings for his wife, And he's like, it sits in our dining room, but she loves it. And
well, that's very important, right? I mean,
awesome.
it's an interesting thing when you see somebody come in and they connect to it, like something. And a lot of times when they come into to the booth that we have, they see things that I don't even see, or what I intended to do. Mm-hmm. They see other things and everything that I
Can
never.
you give an example of that? That's interesting.
Yeah, I had a painting called The Electric Witch, okay, and it was kind of like a robotic woman, made like a metallic woman, and she had a bare chest, okay, and she didn't have a shirt on, and this woman came in, she said. And she looked straight at the woman's breast, the electric witch's breast, and she said, "This looks like a double-barrel shotgun." And sure enough, it looked like a double-barrel shotgun staring
straight
at me.
right down that.
But I never even saw that. I never saw it. Yep.
That's kind of cool.
Yeah, but that painting's gone. That painting I liked. I really did. It was really cool. It was really weird, metallic paint and everything, but gone.
Have you ever had somebody come up to your booth and say something like really weird and disparaging without any sort of context?
Not without context.
Okay.
No.
What? What do you mean, dude?
Well, like I've had people stop by my booths, and I had this one painting called Anatomica, and it's like this male and this female robot that are sort of like almost anatomically correct. And I had this one woman, I don't know, she's like, 16. I don't know if we call her a woman or not, but like womanly. And she walks up, she looks at the painting, she goes, "That's unfortunate," and then just kept walking. I was like, what does that mean? Like what's unfortunate about it? Like, didn't stay around. Like, I have no idea why. To this day, it still haunts me.
No
like
way.
I don't know what problem she had with the painting in particular.
You think she was, like many of the youth today, offended by it?
I don't care. I am
Good, as you should.
I don't know if it was unfortunate how well endowed the robot was, or how unfortunate it was that I painted something like this. I will never know the answer to this question.
Should have asked. You wish you had asked.
I wish I had asked.
Yeah.
It happened so quickly, I was stunned.
But you don't know. You have no idea.
I have no idea.
I had two incidents happen that I can recall. One was I painted a very positive painting of Linus from Peanuts, mm-hmm. And he said, "Fear not." It was from the Christmas episode. I took it to a gallery, and someone else had art there. Yeah, it says, "Fear not."
I was looking at that one earlier.
Yeah, that was quick. You found that.
Well, I was looking at that. Dude, I love your work.
And there's the thing. See, there's the dog.
Cool.
Oh, yeah, look.
And that's the one that I miss. So I painted that. It was like a really positive piece. I put it up in a gallery, and there was another artist there who was hanging stuff in this, it was like a show with a whole bunch of artists. And he got offended by that and took his artwork out. He removed his artwork. Don't know why.
That's real weird.
Yeah.
You don't know why?
Don't know why. No, we never really got an explanation. He just pulled all his stuff off the wall and said, "I'm not going to be by that." Don't know why.
Whoa.
And it was just Linus
ridiculous.
with his blanket with a positive message, "Fear not," and it pissed him off for some reason. I really don't know why.
That's real weird.
And then I did one of the Smithville artwork I was on the green or whatever it was for, and I had the Lee Harvey Oswald mugshot thing, but on his T-shirt I put Dallas Reception Committee. And somebody got really pissed off at that. Some guy's like, "Oh no, this isn't." He just walked out.
Yeah, too soon, right?
Yeah, but that's some of the negative stuff that I've gotten. But I've gotten a lot more positive comments than I ever got negative stuff for the most part.
Sure, absolutely.
I've never had anybody like confront me violently or anything like that. For my artwork yet.
Fingers crossed.
I wouldn't even know what to do in that instance. I'd be like, I wouldn't even know what to do. You don't want to like egged them on or something.
Yeah.
You never know nowadays. But
Well, at least you'll
and
know
some
what
of
your
the stuff
next
is
painting is.
yeah, sure. yeah.
Don, does anyone ever come up to you violently?
No,
about your
everybody's usually really cool. That's why that one story.
Isn't
really,
it funny? Everyone
really
comes up
pops
cool,
out.
but it's
yeah.
those two that come up.
That's why I keep going back to like art walk. Like Smithville Art Walk's the only one that I do because it's just like I don't know. It's my people. Like I see all my friends that I only see like twice a year, and like. Everybody's like super happy to see each other, and
It's like I said that to Mike. I on one of the Instagram things I said it's like a family of people. Like you're there, Gigi is there, Bob Ortiz is there.
Yeah.
It's like and there's no way you can know everybody. Really, because you got to do your booth thing.
Sure,
So
yeah.
so you can't go around and and like talk to everybody all the time because it is kind of unfortunately a business.
yeah,
Yeah.
It's usually
But,
set up, and then yeah.
But out of all the shows I've done a lot of shows. I mean, Mike runs one of the best organized shows of all.
Is that one of the best ones? Because I don't go to a lot of shows, but when I go there, I'm like, this is pretty awesome.
Oh yeah. He does it for the art and everything.
Yeah.
He does it for just the gathering of all the people. I mean, you know what I mean. So that's like really one of the best shows.
It's amazing that he's able to get just everybody's like cool, like all the vendors like are pretty chill,
Sure.
and I think that's like through the years I've seen some people not come back to different shows for one reason or the other.
Yeah, I think it's by design.
But like the there's so many people who are there show after show that it's just like it's a homecoming. It's like that those 2 days out of the year are like my vacation.
Mm-hmm.
Like I just get to sit at a table, talk about art all day. Okay.
And a lot of times you and I are like adjacent to each other. We're like right there,
next to each other.
So
Separated
it's always
by
good because
by a
Don
thin wall.
has a great sense of humor, and he's also, he's real tough. He's like we are, with you last the whole day and you
Sure.
enjoy the whole day, and
Sure.
you watch other artists and what they're doing, and it's a real positive environment.
Well, I'm sure you've had those moments where like maybe you're like, you're selling some stuff throughout the day, but then like a great sale comes at the very end of the day, and it's because you like stick around and are,
Sure, that's happened to us plenty of times.
Yeah.
A lot
I
of
saw
times.
that look you gave each other. Is there like a couple that you can recall?
Oh yeah, we've had a lot of it. Always happens as we're breaking down. Some people even, and we had the. It wasn't at Smithville. It was at Trenton Punk Rock Flea Market when they had it outside. During the COVID
the
deal.
Cure,
In the Cure Arena parking
lot.
lot. The woman came and wanted this one painting. She just came in, said, "I want the painting," pointed to it and took it. Didn't even ask the price, and it was the pork roll pig with the Taylor pork roll.
Nice.
And she says, yeah, she was moving back to Jersey or whatever it was. I don't know the complete story anymore, but she wanted something from Jersey as she moved back into her new apartment or wherever it was, and she took the pork roll. And the weird part about it is we started talking to her, and she was, a vegetarian or a vegan or whatever it was, but she needed something that was, representative of being back in New Jersey. So she bought, but it was just boom, So it's like the ideal. If you could have 500 of those people, could you imagine?
Yeah.
You could have your own gallery, and
sure.
you'd be like, what's his name, Thomas Kincaid. You know what I mean?
I've tried painting with light, and it's more difficult than.
Sure. I saw a.
Sorry, that's a very obscure joke. I'm sorry.
What are we talking about, people?
Thomas Kincaid, the painter of light.
Yes.
He had like all of these galleries in malls, with copies of his work, and I actually great stuff though. But like the way that he captured light in like off of houses or stars and stuff, like they're kind of pastoral, kind of stuff, but he really knew. Really understood how light could make things magical in a painting. Yeah,
and somebody took one of those. It was really awesome. I saw it. I don't know if it was on. It might have been on YouTube somewhere. They took one of his. It was a print lithograph or whatever it was. It was like a holiday scene. With the candles in the window with the light, which is really good.
Yeah.
And then they did a great job with Godzilla. in the background of this, this nice, lovely that, is going to soon be turned into rubble. And it was just great how they worked Godzilla into it. It looked like Thomas Kincaid painted Godzilla. So the guy was real, the person, man or woman, whoever they were, they did a great job with it.
I love some of those paintings where they just are spot on able to like paint in the style of the original artist of those. Like it's just phenomenal.
Did you ever see the documentary on Beltracchi?
No.
Wolfgang Beltracchi. He's
No.
like the most famous forger, probably in history with the styles that he could imitate. Oh, well, if you get a chance, watch that Wolfgang Beltracchi. Okay. Yeah, and
just listen to this later.
Yeah, and watch that.
Yeah.
Would he make money off just like imitating other people's work?
Oh, sure did. He went to prison for it. Him and his wife went to prison for it. They did everything. Provenance. They had stories. I mean, they did their homework, and they fooled a lot of experts, like a whole bunch.
That's a big thing in the art world, right? Is people who are forging other people's work, right?
Sure.
I've heard of people really scamming. I mean, I don't know.
What he did was he developed what was supposed to be missing paintings by artists. So he wasn't copying them. He was putting more into their catalog.
You'd be like, oh, I just found this in my closet. It's crazy.
Yeah, and they would come up with a whole story. So it wasn't really a forgery it wasn't a reproduction of an original. He actually just painted in that
the
style and said, this is a
yeah.
missing painting by, so-and-so.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, and it took a long time to catch him,
I
too.
wonder how much money he made
A
before
lot,
he got
lots
caught.
of money, lots.
Wow.
Yeah.
Pay those lawyer bills.
Yeah, I guess if you have that skill,
He made a lot of enemies too,
I'm sure.
because
Yeah,
he made a lot of the so-called
other people's
experts.
work.
Here's
people like you guys making original work constantly, and
I would love somebody to forge something of mine. I think that would be the greatest.
Yeah.
The ultimate
That's a
compliment.
huge compliment. There. Yeah.
Yeah, it could be that big that you had forgeries going on.
I don't really know anyone though who makes art quite like you. I don't know if there are people out there. Maybe there are, but like, who are you influenced by? Are there other artists, past or present, that you look up to? And
I am a big Andy Warhol fan.
I saw you made a
somewhat
piece.
Controversial because some people consider him a really innovative artist, and some people consider him a copying hack. And I seem to think that he had commercialism down really good. With he was just taking everyday ordinary items like a soup can or an ad for weight loss or a Charles Atlas thing, and he was making his own stuff out of it, and it was making you look at just ordinary stuff and saying it is art.
so you mean to tell me, out of all the artists out there, the guy who despises commercialism is a fan of the guy?
Doesn't make sense.
It doesn't make sense.
But that's kind of what I'm driven by, And I mean, when I was a kid, we had the wacky packages, and I loved the wacky package cards. Wacky packages?
Is that like a Garbage Pail Kid
It's
kind of
kind
thing?
of like Garbage Pail.
Well,
Kids,
it's made
but
by the same people who made it was made by the same guy.
Oh,
as Garbage
really?
Pail Kids. It was before Garbage Pail Kids. So what it was like Andy Warhol on steroids. It would take you would go and you would see like you go in the supermarket and you see like a container of spaghetti like Ronzoni or something. They would take that and they would make it into something something weird. They would put a weird name instead of Ronzoni. It'd be like Rub Out Tony, and it would be like a bunch of guys, a bunch of gangsters with machine guns, but it would be spaghetti. So as a kid, man, I just ate that stuff up. So a lot of my influence has to do with the wacky packages too.
Wow, dude. Hey, have you been a fan of that for a long, long time? Is that just as you started?
About when I was a kid, like 1976, you could collect them. They were like baseball cards. It came with a baseball card and then stickers, And
Garbage Pail Kids have made a comeback. You can always find them. Can you still find what are they called? Wacky packs?
Wacky packs or wacky packages? Yeah.
Here's a.
Yeah, they're still out.
Checking eBay or you look on Amazon?
Hold on.
All right, well, let's see what we got here. There's a little package of various
This
cards.
is very good radio right now while I look at pictures.
But they did, tons and tons of products, and their own take on them. They did all types of like shampoos.
Oh, so we got Captain Crud here. We got Pupsy Cola with a puppy on there. We got Moron salt.
That was one. That's one that they had to take off the market. More on salt. So if you find that one, is that an original package, or
No,
are they
I think
reproducing
this
it
is-
now?
I think this is on Amazon for
Really?
like.
Yeah, because that created some type of a controversy when Moron Salt came on. They made him take it out of the package for some reason back in like 1976 or 77.
Out of all
If
these,
you-
that was the one, huh?
If you find an original sheet of those, like an uncut sheet of those stickers, it's a lot of money. I mean, it used to be years ago. It was a lot of money.
I wish I knew. Like, I never took those all. Like, I never stuck anything. Like, they were always just like. They're always just kept in like a pile on the end of my bed. And they
Oh, you
just
didn't
went-
stick them on anything?
No.
So we stuck them on everything. Our book covers, everything. And,
No, I'm weird about stuff like that.
I would
Like,
always
just
get
can't-
rid of it. I'd be like, I want other people. Like, I was going to school, it'd be boring. It's good to look at the sticker every once in a while. You can start laughing, and makes the day a little shorter.
Planet of the Grapes.
Yeah. So a lot of my stuff comes from that kind of what do you want to call it?
vibe,
Yeah. You're taking the piss out of something. You're really parodying it.
I love it.
So a lot of my stuff is like that, along with album covers. I was a big a big album person.
What's your favorite album cover of all time?
And that's tough.
There's
That's
a
tough to
lot out
say.
there. Well, what are the first ones that come to mind?
Well, pretty much. I don't know. Well, there's the album cover right there, the Manson Christmas. That's one of my favorite album covers.
Oh, that's an album cover?
It's Bing Crosby. It's like the most famous.
Mary.
It's like the most famous Christmas album of all time. It's Bing Crosby's Merry Christmas, but I just put Charlie Manson under the hat, and changed the song and
Have a
everything.
Helter Skelter Christmas.
Yeah, so you could
everyone.
imagine it actually being an album, where.
180 gram vinyl. That's good.
Well, I had to bring it up to date, to everybody thinks 180 gram vinyl is like this big deal, half-speed masters and all the stuff that they're selling now for like $70, But yeah, that was one of the first album cover treatments I did where I actually, changed something. And that one's a good seller. We have a sticker that we put it
see
on the
this
8-track
Yeah,
tapes.
I've got the sticker on my sticker box.
What makes you decide, you're just going to sell an individual, painting versus turning it into these prints?
Well, I take usually what I feel is the best work and make the prints. I don't have prints for everything. And then as we go through the shows, it becomes kind of like a process of elimination,
By what sells? Or
what it's like a focus group, what people comment on. Because a lot of people come in and they'll comment and stuff, but they don't want to buy originals, but they like it and they'll say, I love this. How much is it? Oh, I can't do that. So then I say I want to make a print out of it, and then it's available for everybody in a regular standard like 8x10. So it makes it so you can't always sell originals. It just doesn't happen
Sure.
for me. It just doesn't happen.
Not pricey.
Well, it's
These not
also,
pricey as
like,
fair prices.
Yeah.
How much do you
it's-
charge? Oh, go ahead.
No, I mean, I think that's it also makes some of your art more accessible to people. Like, you get more people to enjoy your work, like on a personal level, when you can diversify the way they
absolutely.
can enjoy it.
Yeah, and we set it up. We set it up like the old album. We used to look through the albums because that's what I used to
Yeah.
do. So you would just flip through the album. You would flip through the album bins. And back then, of course, if you had money for one album, you weren't going to blow your money on something that looked shitty. Can I curse on here?
You can.
Yeah, you
Okay.
can.
Well, I don't want to go crazy, but I'm saying,
Fudge, yeah, you can.
you would judge what you might buy by the by
for
the image,
sure, man.
So
Oh man, there were a bunch of albums back in the day. Dookie by Green Day.
Yeah.
Little did I know when I picked that one up how it was going to impact me as a 9-year-old kid picking up something like that.
But did you get it because of the cover?
Yeah.
Or did you know about Green Day already?
I think I might have seen a commercial about them, so I knew their name. So when I looked at that and I saw the album cover in, I think this was like Blockbuster Music or something. This is back in the day. I saw that cover. I was like, that's everything I'm feeling right now. Buy it, and then I listened to it over and over again as a kid.
Yeah, I got into that. Like, really, I'd say well, as far as album art is concerned, like I didn't have a lot of records growing up. I mean, we talked about this already on the show, but like the albums that I did get into was like Pink Floyd's The Wall, like all of the Gerald Scarf's like artwork with that. The artwork on the liner notes for Appetite for Destruction.
Okay.
What else? Like all the Iron Maiden stuff with Eddie.
Oh, that was good stuff.
Well, Iron Maiden with Eddie, that was Derek Riggs, and Derek Riggs was, the guy who originated that character.
Yeah.
Do you know the story about this at all?
I
Okay,
don't.
Derek Riggs was a self-taught artist, kind of like I am. But he would go around he would make these small gouache paintings, and he would go to the record companies in England, and he would say, "I've got this art for you. Maybe you could use it for an album cover." And they said, "Get out of here," because he was unsolicited. Nobody knew him.
Right.
That image, that original image of Eddie, circulated around all over the place, and nobody wanted it. Get out, you're a bum, And then he was just about to give up, and Iron Maiden, who had just started with the first album, were looking for art, and somehow it came across their desk.
Sure.
And they said, well, this is really cool. It'll be cool for the first album, but we need the hair changed, because originally he made it as a punk rocker. It was called Electric Matthew Says Hello. That was the original name of the painting. So they said, well, we'll use it on the first Iron Maiden album cover, but you got to give him spiky hair and make him look a little more, what do you want to say, rotted or something. So he took that image back, and that's how Eddie started. So they changed him from Matthew to Eddie, and that's how Derek Riggs became Derek Riggs.
Wow.
But before then, he was a bum.
Man, it's crazy. I'm like, look, I just Googled top 100 best album covers of all time. It's crazy how iconic these album covers are, man. It's like I recognize all of them.
Is it the banana cover for Velvet?
That was the number
Underground?
one.
Yeah.
That was
Andy
number
Warhol.
one.
Yeah.
It's Andy
Yeah.
Warhol.
Nirvana's up there with Nevermind, Abbey
Sure.
Road, of course, Sgt. Pepper, the Led
Sgt.
Zeppelin.
Yeah, Sgt. Pepper was, again, another one that really, I think, not only was the album groundbreaking as far as, being able to let everybody know that you can just go your own way with it, even like a semi-concept album pretty much, but that you can also hire somebody outside the studio system to make the album cover. Because he hired Peter Blake and Jan Hayworth, I think, made the cover for Sgt. Pepper's. So and the Beatles hired them, to do. But before that, I guess they had to get some kind of approval from like EMI or whatever it was, like with Revolver and everything, all those images. But that was really a groundbreaking, not only musically but also artistically. And then people wanted to make that album. Artists, musicians wanted to make the album over again, and they also wanted to have something iconic as a cover like that too. And it really started it out, all that stuff.
Very cool. So, what is the future looking like, Wayne? I mean, you're a really interesting dude. Artwork, like I've said a couple times now, I don't really know another artist who makes work quite
Well, thank
like
you.
And I am a legit fan. I've bought your pieces simply because
I know, and I thank you for supporting the cause. You and also Don, who does the whole thing with Hamilton, and everything as
He
far
does
as
a
support. Yeah, it's incredible. Yeah, it's incredible that you do that. Thank you.
No, thanks. I mean, I'm really I'm humbled and touched that you come back year after year to be a part of this thing. Like,
No,
it
that's
really-
because
it
of
really
you.
means a
That's
lot-
because of
a
you
lot
and your
to me.
organization. So you know what I mean. And I wanted to do this. You told me about this podcast, and when we were at Smithville, you're like,
Yeah.
we started this podcast. And well, give me let me know.
Yeah.
And I definitely come down and do it.
Second time Wayne's been on my property.
Nice.
He was selling artwork at my wrestling show. How cool is that?
I was here for that one. I
Yes,
think.
you
Yeah,
were.
Yeah.
In fact, your compliment was one of the ones I remember more than anyone, where you came up to me and were like, "Sam, that was really good."
It was really good.
Thanks, brother.
It was like, it's been like I've seen a couple of like professional wrestling, like local stuff, and it was the showmanship was great, and like the characters were not only dynamic but also they were kind to people, and that was like afterwards or like throughout the event, interacting with all of the kids. The kids ate it up. The kids ate it up. My daughter, 7, was like enamored by the female wrestlers that you had there.
Oh, yeah.
You know, she's giving high fives to all the wrestlers coming up to the ring and stuff.
What happens when she tells you she wants to be a female wrestler?
Go for it. Go for it. She can do anything she wants to do.
You know
and
someone
she
who
will.
can train her.
She's if anybody could make a career out of professional wrestling, it would be my daughter.
That's cool. That's great.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's a maniac, and she's a ham, and she's athletic. And
That's exactly what a wrestler
she's got
needs
all
to
of that
be.
stuff, and she's definitely got like, you know, those like pre-match interviews. She handled those real well.
Dude, some people in the business, they're so good with the charisma and the microphone. They barely have to take any bumps out there. They don't, like Hulk Hogan and The Rock. Like, they barely have to take any bumps, and the crowd goes bonkers. So, yeah, to finish that question from earlier, Wayne, future, what are you looking to do? What do you hope to do? What does the future look like for you, man?
Well, I wish I wish I could just continue doing what I'm doing, and I have more ideas than I think I'll ever get to, unfortunately, because I started, at like 50 years old, so I'll be 61 in 16 days, and the 21st of August. So I'm just hoping to just keep doing what I'm doing, keep doing the shows with the organizations and the people and just the community that we have, and the events that we do.
That's cool. You're really content, loving what you're doing right now.
I honestly wish I could do it as a living.
Yeah.
I wish I could get up every day and do it, and be very prolific and have a lot of people appreciate it. I think appreciation, is really is important. With all of it. I get a lot of return people that come back and remember my stuff. A lot of people that come back.
I believe it. 100%.
They say I have stuff. I just came back to see what you've got that's new, and I start to know these people by name, and so that's pretty cool when you can develop a following like that.
When I go to Wayne's booth, I have a pretty similar experience every time where, it's like, oh, that's funny. Oh, interesting. It's just going up and down this wall of just like, oh, that's hilarious. It's such a wide variety of jokes and serious messages. And like you said earlier, just stuff that looks awesome. It's really cool, man.
I try to do some stuff that maybe, I don't want this to sound weird, but stuff that like I would like to see.
Sure.
You know what I mean?
For
It's
sure.
not. I'm not the be all end all of artists, but it's like I would like to walk in and see something like this that would excite me, and then look at it and say, I'm not really sure where he's coming from with this, but I like it for some reason.
Is that how you are too?
Well, I think part of people who make art in any way is that you make it in part for yourself. This is something you need to say. This is something that is inside of you. And then the hard part is that you give that to the rest of the world to interpret whichever way they feel like. So it's like your gift, and people can enjoy it however they choose to enjoy it.
And that's why I like seeing it go out into the world. When it comes from me, goes off the easel or wherever I'm doing with it, and if it goes out into the world, it's got another life somewhere with somebody who really appreciates. Somebody may be having a bad day, and they look at that thing and they go, "This is funny," and this is the reason why I got it. So this is cool. I like it. And I didn't spend a lot of money on it, but here it is, inspirational. I feel good today.
I see.
And that's kind of the way I feel it when I paint too. For the most part, until I'm done with the painting and I'm sick of it.
Do you ever just sit at the easel and just kind of giggle to yourself?
Is the easel empty or full with something? If I'm doing it empty, then I got to start worrying. Yeah. Oh, sure. Yeah. I sure do. I'm working on something now that's based on the Queensryche Operation Mindcrime album. I don't know if you guys are familiar with the. Do you know Queensryche?
Yeah,
probably,
for
with
sure.
Silent Lucidity and the Empire album, probably.
Yeah.
Okay, well, the album they did before that was called Operation Mindcrime, and it's probably one of the last real concept albums that was made in hard rock, and the cover is really, really cool. Unfortunately, the album was put out in 1988 when vinyl was kind of going the wayside, so they didn't do a lot with the artwork. But the concept album is Operation Mindcrime is a very famous album. Unfortunately, they didn't spend a lot of money on the cover because the vinyl was going out. So the cover is really, really cool. Should have been a gatefold with some really, really great art.
Oh, for sure. Oh, yeah, I know this. Yeah,
But it's just a back and front.
Right on.
So I'm working on something that, yes, I'm giggling about this one as I'm putting it together. Because it's basically going to be kind of that idea, just with different characters and maybe some different words. But I'm not sure about that yet.
So interesting, man, how you come up with these things. It's really cool. Hey, if someone wants to check out your work, where do they go?
They go to WayneLucinaArt.net. That's Wayne, and the last name is Lucina, art.net. And on Instagram, it's at WLucinaArt, LucinaArt.
Interesting dude over here, Don.
for sure.
Yeah. Anything else, brothers?
No, thanks, Wayne. Thank you so much for coming out.
Well, it was great to be here. Thank you for letting me be a guest. And this has been a very interesting experience. I felt that we actually, we talked about some really cool stuff here.
Yeah,
It was
yeah.
great.
We
And
try,
thank-
right?
We try, you know.
No, it was great. It was really fun. It was fun, too.
Awesome.
I got to have some beer, too.
Yeah, a little Heine for you, brother. All right, thank you so much for coming.
Well, thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, we'll be back soon.
Peace.
Toodaloo.